5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How's life and such, guys?
Good. That new music right there is exciting.
Yeah, we finally got
the
intro.
We finally got our own intro.
I still miss Time Consumer.
That was our best
Bring
song.
back Time Consumer.
That was the iconic song.
Everybody
Yeah,
help me
we'll say.
petition for Time Consumer.
Not help, but say I did. If
Time
that's okay.
consumer can go die
Is that
for all I care.
Is that acceptable?
No.
No, it's not.
Side with me, YouTube.
No.
But yeah. This music was composed by our very own cast member Venom, and it's quite amazing. So,
Yeah.
he's a professional. We now have unique music for all of our segments, and an original outro song for once.
Yeah. And
Intro song.
yeah, there's something else. Oh yeah, no. Normally we change our theme song every year, like at the beginning of every year. But this is too cool to pass up.
Even though
Yeah.
really had,
Or
yeah.
we're just ready to finally get our own music for once.
Yeah. I was
to the
for
original.
waiting until like the 1st of 2013 to do it, but then I realized that was kind of a ridiculous idea. So I suspended that notion.
Then we realize the end of the world's gonna be coming before the end of the year, so
Might as well do it now.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got an interesting episode ahead of us, don't we?
Oh yeah. So
You could say that,
yeah,
I suppose.
we have some interesting topics to discuss for once. So
You could also
Without-
say that.
without further ado, let's hop right in. I'm Messanek.
I'm Vardaran.
I'm LJ.
I'm Kahi. And I'm Keeney.
And this is TTV episode 30. Help me out here, guys. It's been a while.
7. Not
Okay. Wait.
Sure. Wait, counting SDCC.
This is something you should
doesn't count,
really
does it?
look up before we start the episode.
Why didn't we remember to
Yeah.
look this up?
I think it's
Yeah,
pretty
I
funny
have to
when I
find
mess
myself.
up.
Funny.
I
Fun-
edited 36.
Okay, it's
So-
it's episode 37. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 37. Yay.
Yeah, that
Yes.
we missed that one.
Yeah. Yay.
Sorry, guys. I hope no one cares.
I
They
care.
don't.
Yeah, I care too.
They
Why?
don't.
Ruined our epic
Is that-
intro, jerk.
Why is it a big deal?
No, you can't say that, Var.
YouTube doesn't care, and
Jerk,
that's all that
Jerk,
matters.
jerk, jerk, jerk.
Idiot,
Jerk is
jerk,
not a
idiot,
swear.
jerk, idiot,
Jerk is
jerk.
not a swear.
Alright, anyway.
Jerk, 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 idiot, jerk.
Wow.
YouTube jerks.
Anyway.
Okay.
Idiotic YouTube jerks. Alright, I'm done.
Without further ado, let's hop right into the BZPower news.
In the news this week, we have collectible minifigs, Series 8 revealed. Design a vehicle for the LEGO Movie. Portal Project gets 10,000 votes on Kuso. AFOL patches bricks in Zurich. Premier perks for all. 11 years of BZPower. And that is the news.
Let's head into the commentary.
Just as a quick
Alright.
note, you will be noticing a bit of a different change in the news pattern if you even pay attention this month. This month. If you even pay attention at all, I should say, with how we read our news. We typically go from Monday to Sunday because we record our episodes on Sunday. We're actually recording episodes on Friday now. So we're going to be usually going from Friday or Saturday to, Friday. If that makes any sense. Today was awkward because we last recorded an episode on Sunday, but we've now switched it to Friday, hence why we're talking about news from that day on, and because the other news covered in another episode that's been released anyway. Let's talk about the news again.
And also why Venom and Envy aren't here.
Yeah.
Well, at
lame.
Venom is at a movie still, I think, and Envy is Envy.
Yeah, they're riding on the lame train.
Let's start from the bottom up. How about those there minifigures, guys?
Don't care, they can go die.
There are some cool minifigures in there, actually. Look at the picture.
I've never
anything that you say is cool, it usually isn't cool.
Except for Halo 4.
But Var, there's an ancient thespian with a skull.
But Meso, I don't care about your thespian.
There's a Bavarian boy with a pretzel.
What?
What the heck?
Bavarian pretzel boy.
All these words sound so inappropriate for this podcast, but they are. I don't understand.
There's an evil female alien with a laser gun.
Bavarian
There's
pretzel
Santa
boy.
Claus with a sack.
There you go, even more.
No. Guys, this is the worst of them all. DJ with a disc and a disc case.
Whoa.
It's funny because my mic cut out the moment he said. So I don't even know what he said. It's probably a good thing.
There's a tradesman with newspaper and a suitcase.
Whoa!
I'm trying to understand how this evil female alien is any different than a evil male alien. Is like they have different heads or something? I'm not really sure. But...
Yeah, and lipstick.
She's pink with lipstick. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not looking.
Vampire Bat, if you notice, he has different arms, which I find very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody notices, but I really don't look at the news.
Yeah, I noticed.
I like Santa Claus's hat.
I'm not gonna lie. Absolutely none of these minifigures interest me like whatsoever.
What else,
But
Jay? What
the
about the DJ with a disc in a disc case?
I am not.
Just stop talking.
I am. No, they're cool.
He's
I guess.
DJ Rahkshi.
What? What?
If you look at his page, the disc case says DJ Rahkshi.
You know what? That tradesman looks like one of the observers from Fringe.
Oh, you're right. Great.
He has the hat, and he's bald, and he has the suitcase, and the
Right,
suit.
we need to get
man.
a Lego Olivia minifigure and then a Lego Walter and Peter minifigure.
That would be interesting.
If only all the other guys here watched Fringe, Kahi.
Friend
I know.
sucks. Let's move
I
on.
like the Bavarian boy's oversized pretzel.
That knight armor looks pretty cool.
Okay, well, you can tell we're grasping here. Look at all these minifigures.
That Darth Vader looking guy looks cool.
Look
Pretzel.
cool.
Oh,
They're
Football
minifigures.
guy is a really large cup.
oh my god.
Well, before this degrades totally, before this,
Yeah.
let's move on to another news article.
Right.
The pirate has a wooden leg.
So can I just say this is?
Pay attention to detail, yo.
Oh my man, no, can I just say that this is gonna strike a chord with VAR?
Yeah.
Design a
Okay.
vehicle for the Lego Movie. Basically,
Oh
the
yeah,
Lego.
I'll design a thing, and then they'll take it and not pay me.
Yeah, no. Here's the scoop. This thing, it's basically the Lego group wants you to make a vehicle, and then post your originally designed vehicle on their Facebook page before December, and you'll get to see it in their movie. I don't know what he's saying. So you'll get to see it in their live action movie or something, and then you also get $1,000.
Which they
And-
probably will not pay you.
Yeah, how about
yeah,
you give me that 500 you owe me, jerks?
Yeah, I'll let Var explain why this should strike a chord.
Yes, tell the story in short, real quick, for those that don't know.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I don't think you really do.
Yeah, I don't think either, but
I mean,
won
it's not like it really matters anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. I won BBC 53.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm just not going to say it now.
No.
Bar won BBC Contest 53, and his MOC was featured in the first Hero Factory TV show because Binkmeister on BZPower offered to buy it from him, so he sent the MOC over there, and
Although I still have to say, Var, this is kind of random, but it is kind of funny that people have made your mock.
Yeah, they made a mock of the mock.
Yep.
I guess you could say it's a mockery.
Anyways,
Or
You're
mock.
famous.
That's good.
Just no one knows no one knows you made it though because your name wasn't even in the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and post a picture of said MOC in the description along with its appearance in the TV
Or in
show.
the video.
Nah, the video is like... You will not make me do that, Var.
it's a slideshow. Videos are slideshows. Come
I
on.
Windows 7 Movie Maker scares me with its over complexity.
You don't know the pain!
Control C, Control V, render.
Yeah, actually, that's... He's got a point.
It was
I
quite
don't think
simple.
you can-
It was quite
So
simple
complex.
in Vista. It was quite simple in Vista Movie Maker, but quite difficult in 7.
Okay, I don't know what you guys are doing, but I use the same program as you guys, and I've only used it like twice, and you still can't do anything easier than put pictures into a video.
We'll talk about it later. Anyway, so, yeah, I'm not entering this because I don't despise Facebook.
Okay.
So I'm not entering this. What about you guys?
I'm not entering because I can't build. I'm also not entering because
Wow.
I
Wow.
really don't care.
I'm not a good mock artist. If I had enough pieces, I'd like to come up with something, but...
I can't do it because I gave all my pieces to Lego and they didn't pay me for it.
But Var,
Wait.
that was just the Bionicle ones, not the Lego one.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not entering because I'm not good at making vehicles. So,
Wait, so they didn't send the pieces back to you? Like, pieces for your mom that you sent them? You didn't even send that back?
They
They
bought
just took his entire Bionicle collection and did not credit or pay him.
They bought
Wow.
from him, and well, not only did he not get any of the money, he didn't get any of the fame. And actually, I think that there's a guy on YouTube called Lego Jang, and he replicated the MOC, which is
Lego
strange.
Jane got more attention than me, and all he did was replicate my creation.
Yeah, so we not only do we need to hunt down Lego Jang and steal his replication so that Var can have his MOC back, but 2, we need to go to Denmark and have a protest to bring back Bionicle and bring back Var's MOC and pay him
Yes.
in Danish money.
That's what they did before. They sent me a check and but it was Danish with the wrong date, and I couldn't cash it because the date was backwards, there, and and I tried to be like, okay, so dude, I kind of need you guys to rewrite the check, but with the date flipped the other way. Never responded.
And Var was left in the dust.
I mean, was it really?
Yeah.
I mean, is it really that hard to just write another date?
And now there's no way to do it
I'll take
because
care of
now
it.
they can just not respond to you with the excuse of we're not allowed to talk to people on the Lego site.
You know, really, Var, you could technically sue.
I don't care that much. It's $500.
I know you don't care. I know you don't care that much. Like, if it was more money, you could sue, though. But it's it doesn't matter.
Gee, are you kidding me? Suing
I'll
takes
take
years
care
and years. I'm not
I'll
gonna
take care
spend
of it.
years to get $500.
Like, I'll do it. I'll reach a settlement for you, Var.
Also, Kahi, sue them for keeping the truth from us for why they canceled Bionicle for so long. No, I'm kidding.
I will sue them and gain the rights to Bionicle. And then we'll have the rights to Bionicle, and we can do whatever we want with that. It's gonna work.
Yeah,
We'll bring
that's what
Bionicle back
they-
by acquiring the rights from Lego.
No, I'm sorry, I don't trust any of you with a franchise. I don't even trust
should, like-
myself in the franchise.
We should, like, make it a rule that, like,
You
in
should trust-
any creative Bionicle-related work that gets posted online becomes part of official canon.
Don't.
In another universe, any work at all can be added to the canon.
You're trying to make this a Cure Factory, aren't you?
Yes.
So that's been tried a couple times actually. Expanded universe and
It's called Cure Factory.
no, it's not called Hero Factory.
It's called Cure
It's
Factory.
not the first time that's been done.
You're right. It's the second
Shut up.
time.
How about the Portal project?
No, I can't even say anything to that.
Yeah, the Portal project, Kuso, 10,000 votes, and it's in the review stage now.
It looks cool and such. I'm looking forward to see if it gets made as a set.
We need to have a live audience here, so that way we can scream, "Who here's excited for Lego Portal?" And then they'd all just, like, do the wave.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you say.
Yeah.
I will admit that presentation was very, very well done. It was one of the most professional presentations I've seen in Lego Cusco.
It was really awesome. It's just that the unfortunate thing is I never buy Lego sets anymore. Ever.
Yeah.
Save the Hobbit model. I will buy that. I promise myself that. Because
I like it because it only requires one new piece.
The
'Cause
portal
they
gun?
cleverly- Yep. Portal gun, it doubles as the turret piece. Save money. It's awesome.
Money, money, money! I'm done. Yeah.
I really hope you're done because I never want to hear that again.
Money. Yeah, it looks like a really cool project, and hopefully it can come to become real.
Now, I just want to find out what this is about. This is like a news article that I would skip on another day, but this is like the only other thing besides, like, you know, BZP's anniversary. What the heck is this AFOL Patches, Bricks, and Zurich?
Basically, either one guy in Germany, has begun putting, like, Lego bricks in holes in walls, like a corner of a wall that got broken or decayed. He replaces it with Lego.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures, because I looked at the pictures, it's pretty spectacular. Like, you see all the stone and stuff, and then you see these bits of, like, Lego acting as the wall.
That actually is pretty cool.
That's nice for Germany, but I wish people would do that in the United States. You knew it was coming.
You know?
Yep.
You know? Fine then. Be that way.
And now we go on to the great news. 11 years on BZP.
11 years on BZP. I'm done. Yeah. This day in 2000.
A fellow named Dimensioneer started a site and is still alive. And they love to celebrate their anniversary. Small people get premiere perks. LJ, how are you liking your premiere perks? I know you have not ever gotten premiere prior to this, so I know this is a very big deal for you. Vlog more.
This is cutting into my 6 months of free premiere membership I got for winning that contest. Second place in that contest.
Vlog more.
Yeah.
Thinking, LJ, you don't change your name. I'm sure you don't get your PM inbox isn't flooded or anything like that.
You kidding me? I have screaming fans flooding my inbox.
No one ever wants to talk to LJ.
LJ's streaming fans are all in his dreams where he asks for crossbows.
But yes. Still 11 years is a pretty big number for a website. You remember their 10-year anniversary? They were down.
Yeah, he's got a point there.
Yeah.
At least they're not down this year.
Yeah, it's good. It's perfect. Oh yeah, we get premiere perks, don't we?
Mm-hmm. You guys should all go blog up a storm while you still can.
Blogging has never been anything I ever cared about.
You know what?
And I don't care about BZP anymore either, so.
Yeah, if I frequented BZP more, I probably would start blogging some more, but I don't, so it doesn't mean much.
Actually,
You know, it's kind of sad. I don't care about Premier Perks. I don't care about BZP. I don't really even care about Bionicle. I don't really even care about the internet.
And you also don't care about following the cursing policy.
I don't.
Do you care about Hero Factor?
No.
Okay. Do you care about Ninjago?
No.
What about Monster Fighters?
I think a better question is, do I care about TTV? And the answer is just barely.
So, well, 11 years, it's quite awesome.
Yeah, congrats BZPower
For all your problems, for all your interesting choices, for all your terrible news, for all your
interesting people.
Yeah, for all the interesting people on there. You are still a good site. You still have quite an awesome of people that frequent it, even if they are the minority. The server doesn't lag as much as it used to, so no board messages. Hooray. Yeah, keep up the, good...
10 out of 10, keep up the good work.
Yeah, 10 out of 10, keep up the good work. Here's to another 10 years.
I think it's pretty cool, but, and I actually congratulate BZPower on getting this far, because it's quite an accomplishment. 11 years is a long time for anything, and I think it's great that they've been able to keep up with, you know, the ongoing story of Bionicle, and that they're still here after all this time. And that BZPower is a predominant part of the Bionicle fan base, so it kind of shows. So,
despite everything, despite, you know, them branching out a little bit, they have not actually succumbed to the worst of my fears that they were going to, like, drop Bionicle entirely. At least that's not happened yet. And I'll talk about that a bit more later. But,
Hero
you know.
Factory Spinning, so.
Yeah.
Hero Factory Spinning.
Well, yeah. But they're still going, you know, okay, we'll see how things go. But yeah, congrats on the anniversary. Anyway, I guess that about wraps it up for the news. We actually talked about everything on the news this week. I think that's a first.
It is.
I literally don't think we've ever done that ever since a long time ago.
There is, yeah.
We haven't had enough news to talk about for so long.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I suppose next up we'll actually use this as kind of a, you know, bridging the gap phrase or segment. I don't know, what the heck am I trying to say? I'm losing my words here. I think we'll use what we were just talking about as a bridge to our next segment. There we go. The return of something that's been absent for weeks. Brought to attention. Quite. Alright, here we go. Hello everybody, I'm Messanak, and now let's jump right in without any delays and look at what's going to be brought to attention today. This is the first time I've done this segment in weeks, so I apologize, I'm a little rusty, but I am getting to talk about my favorite thing in the world to talk about, something which totally has not been talked about far too much for its own good. Hero Factory versus Bionicle. The grand return with a new twist.
Oh god.
BZP for the longest time. Yes. BZP for the longest time has been, basically ever since Bionicle ended and Hero Factory was announced. For those that don't know, BZPower has been an interesting place because in the blogs and topics and forums, it's pretty hard to escape it. There are always these Hero Factory versus Bionicle discussions that inevitably crop up multiple times a month. Right when you think BZP is going to go through a period where one, you know, did not happen, it happens. Because there's basically a group of people on BZPower who, you know, I don't want to say thankfully because, I'm not that cruel, but they're not around as much as they used to be. The people that like to antagonize and start problems, they've kind of moved on, which is interesting because those same people are the hardcore radical Bionicle fans that despise Hero Factory with every ounce of their being and refuse to even give it a chance, and decide to start arguments about random stuff regarding to Hero Factory versus Bionicle. Those people are kind of gone, and because of that, it's actually been a good while since something happened. But on, what date was this posted? May 23rd, a topic was made on BZPower called, What Should the Next Spinny Be, or Should There Be Only 10? And this I knew was going to inevitably turn into something. Because, for those that don't know, BZPower is spinnies. For every year you've been a part of the BZP community, since you're joined, you get a spinny on the bottom left of your profile thing. And it basically shows how long you've been a part of, BZP, and it has different masks from Bionicle's history. The last one they did for the 10-year anniversary was a Porito, which is BZP's mascot. Everyone wanted it to end there, or if they did do more, it would be like a Maranui robot or like a Unity Destiny symbol kind of deal. And, well, long story short, BZP put their spinning, or yesterday. It's actually been up for weeks. And it is of a Hero Factory helmet. Rahkshi, to be exact, the poster boy of the 2012 breakout line for the winter. And the interesting thing about this is, the past couple of weeks, this topic, people were theorizing, and some people were like, I think it's time for a Hero Factory head, because we've done all we feasibly can do for Bionicle. We have a helmet per year, and then we have BZP's head, mascot, spinny. Let's, common sense, move on to the next thing. Then there are those people that, inevitably, the people that still me, and they're like, if you do this, if you do a Hero Factory helmet, you will be disgracing BZP, and you'll be losing the essence of what makes BZP BZP, and you'll be forsaking Bionicle, and you're terrible people. But then there are those people that are like, well, I don't really care either way, it's just a spinny, this doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's fairly minor compared to some of the stuff they could do. It was basically this discussion going on and off for weeks. I actually wouldn't say that this ever turned into an argument, which surprised me, but, it was just one of those things people like to talk about and discuss. I kept away from mentioning this because I was waiting to see what would come of it, because I knew that we would know in a few weeks. And sure enough, the reaction to the spinny has been quite positive, actually, which surprised me in a good way. I expected huge negative backlash. Granted, the people that would cause such backlash have not actually been on and probably don't even know that, this spinny even exists as of yet. However, I found a couple interesting posts in this topic. And, some of those are, for instance, people saying, there's really no need for this to be here. This is, we're losing our Bionicle roots. This whole community is about keeping Bionicle alive. This is more of a bad thing than a good thing. And then people respond to them and they're like, well, Bionicle, for lack of a better word, is over, officially. It was not... For the past couple of years, the argument was Bionicle is not over. BZP should not forsake Bionicle because Bionicle is still continuing in the story serials. But that is sadly no longer the case because Greg Rahkshi fallen off the face of the earth writing them and has moved on to write such hit classics as Hero Factory, The Doom Box, which I'm sure is going to be infinitely more popular than Bionicle ever was. Anyway. What are you guys' thoughts on the Hero Factory spinning? And reactions to it, which were inevitable.
We're losing our souls to the Hero Factory uprising. We must fight back. We must
get the crossbow.
Bring Bionicle back into the forms in full force. Because this is blasphemy. We shouldn't be happy to have
Okay,
forced on us.
LJ.
You don't want to force any like the DMR, right?
Yeah, basically. No, anyway, I don't really care. I mean, I would have been more angry had they made the 10-year spinning Hero Factory. 11 years, who cares? 10 years was...
a very good point. 10 years was the special point. We're now into that point where, nothing really matters until the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, BZP's not a Bionicle-centric... Or not only Bionicle anymore. Because Bionicle is dead. It really is now. Fans of it are not. The fan stuff isn't dead. But Bionicle itself is.
The official Bionicle media has ceased to exist, basically.
Right? If BZP kept up with only Bionicle, it would die.
Yeah.
So the next logical choice is to go to Hero Factory, because it's the same idea. Well, okay, maybe not the exact same idea, but the sets are the same idea, same kind of system, so to speak, and, while the story's not even half as complex or anything like that, it's not entirely impossible to do anything with for the fans, and really, at the end of the day, it's just the next logical progression to keeping things alive.
And not even just Hero Factory, because Hero Factory strikes a bad chord with people. Honestly, if they went fully Hero Factory, that'd strike a horrible chord with me.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they made originally I was fairly against it, because I like to think myself a very special person. I have been on both sides of the totem pole.
Oh, yes, you are very special.
Yes. He likes to think, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's like...
If I may continue...
You're like bipolar. Okay.
Well, thanks.
He's on both sides of the totem pole.
Anyway, no. Here's the thing, though. You see, I have been one of those Bionicle extreme viewpointers, and I despised Hero Factory to the extent of I would leave BZPower if they did anything of the sort. But I think they have made a wise choice in this case, because at least there's something to talk about, and it's not as bad as it could have been. I mean, look at us. Even we have gone on to talking about things like what's it called?
Breakout.
No. Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, the Comic-Con coverage. The Comic-Con coverage is a sign of things to possibly come in the future. I'm not sure we're going to do anything in the near future, but, But to tell you this way, my stance on the matter, in short, was that if BZP wanted to be strictly Bionicle, they would have to go hardcore into the community side of things. And I think they're doing terrible with the spotlighting creations on the front page thing. I think they could do a lot more with that. They did for a while. They did really good. Now they've fallen back off into not doing anything. But you can't expect them to do only that, and that is the only updating piece of Bionicle media nowadays is the community.
And not only that, but look at the community. They're starting to use Hero Factory things.
Yeah. Yeah, and, there's still things to talk about. Like, artists have recently been coming forth with artwork, like a guy called Pat Quinn, who had recently, I do believe he was the artist on the collectible Bionicle cards, for Quest for the Mask or whatever. And he recently came out with, apparently, what seemed to be a second wave of cards, which are actually going to feature the Borak, which never got made in cards. So we got inks and sketches for those that have been released on DeviantArt. I found a guy on Bionicle Sector 1 found that, and and then you got stuff like Christian Faber, who was one of the original creators of Bionicle. So there's always Bionicle stuff circulating. You just kind of look for it.
Yeah, and there's thankfully still stuff going on. It's just not enough to run a news site off of, But it does prove that, things are still going. Bionicle hasn't completely fallen off the face of the earth, which is why I think BZP's found a good balance. The initial fear last year when they went down was that it was going to come back and Bionicle would basically would have no more of a presence than any other theme. and they were gonna, turn into a general Lego website, which I think they've partially done, but in a much different way than people had initially thought. And I think that it's, I don't mind it. I was initially starkly against it. It was even to the point where I was considering, like, not protesting, that's a bad word to use, but, putting my stance out there and trying to, like, rally up some support, because I'm sure the overwhelming majority of the community would agree with us. If we were go out and say, like, we disagree with the way BZPower is doing things, this is detrimental to the community at large, that BZP is the monopoly of the Bionicle community. They are the Bionicle community. Let's be frank and honest here. The only other Bionicle communities that exist in full are YouTube, which is... Anyway, and the Lego message boards. So we have Lego message boards, Bionicle, and YouTube. They're all interconnected. The Lego message board is interconnected to Bionicle. YouTube has Bionicle, but they're not Bionicle focused. The only thing that's Bionicle focused, the only thing that's connected to Bionicle and full is BZP, and they've made it that way, and now if they changed, it would all fall apart. But I think they're doing better than expected. Which is why this does not really bother me as much as it would have a year or so ago.
Yeah.
It's not really that big a deal.
I was never bothered by Hero Factory being part of BZP because... Actually, that's a lie. I guess I was kind of bothered by it right at the beginning, but I have faith in the community to continue on with something that they've loved. Because I don't see Hero Factory as a completely different line that's going to try and kill Bionicle and, ruin all of our good memories. I see it as something that enables us to continue remembering Bionicle through different means.
Yeah.
Right? Because you look at all of the mocks that have been made with Hero Factory pieces and Bionicle pieces combined. And there are some pretty amazing things out there. Right?
Very true.
And so we're enabled to, continue Bionicle through that. Right? Hero Factory is not a completely separate thing. Right? It's a different line, but it's no more separate in relation to Bionicle than, Monster Hunters is to Ninjago, right?
Quite true.
It's all the same kind of idea. And then you have, the fans who write and draw and make art. That doesn't mean, just because another line comes out doesn't mean that your art has to stop being about the line that you've known.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's why, I kind of have to echo the staff's viewpoint here, which is funny. They posted that in the They posted this in the topic. Many different people basically saying the same thing. Bionicle's still the predominant focus here. All our contests, more or less, are still Bionicle-centric. All of our forums have Bionicle as the majority. Anything else is a sub-forum at best. Bionicle is still visually predominant, though I think they could do a bit better with that. The bland skins being one of those things, but, they're doing good. They just need to keep it up and not slip and fall into the abyss. Yeah. And I think it's going to be interesting because I'm going to wait and see what comes of this. But I would like to close by saying that their DV posted something on the topic, and he said this. All of you think that by changing the Spinny to a Hero Factory one, that we're abandoning our Bionicle roots, are going to be very surprised in the near future when we prove you wrong with other significant changes. And then people were like, obviously, what kind of changes are those? And then Garanui says, if you don't know yet, obviously it's because you're not supposed to. It should only be a matter of days before you know, though. And that's interesting to me, because I cannot for the life of me think of what would one, constitute a significant change, and two, what exactly they would do anyway.
Brick Zone Power. Calling it
No.
LOL.
I called that. Well, I called that last year. I called that 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. It was before forums went down. I was like, yep, they're gonna turn to a Lego-related site, and they're gonna merge all these forums together, and they're gonna add all these forums. And people were like, no, they're not gonna happen. Guess what? It happened. So yeah, to all you guys who thought I was wrong, I'm right. Get used to it.
What?
But
what? I'm confused.
Kai, basically what DV said was that there are going to be significant changes in order to increase Bionicle's focus on the site and such.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I don't think making everything Lego-centric is increasing Bionicle focus on the site, but okay.
No, they're gonna... What else are they gonna do? Like, how... Okay.
That's what I want to know.
That, I guess we'll see, because we're obviously not supposed to know yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm gonna keep posted. And, yeah. I'm very interested.
My take on it is, to be honest, I'm not one of those people that thinks that BZPower should stay to their roots. Like, I'm more of a modernist type of... Yeah, I'm on the fence that BZPower can do whatever it wants as long as they keep as long as they keep the people there, I guess. You know, as long as, like, you know, if... For me, as long as the people I care about are people that basically read my comics, you know, that's basically what I'm centered on. I'll be completely honest. I'm not so much of like a site representative, but I do like, you know, I like the creativity aspect of it, and I like people that, you know, that watch what I do.
Yeah, we know that after you milked the fan base with our comic tool.
Exactly. So, basically, I don't see anything wrong with them. Like, this does not count as moving away from the roots. Just having a Hero Factory spinning doesn't count like that. You know, that's a ludicrous argument. But even if it did, I wouldn't be that angry or surprised or even interested. Not interested. You know what I mean? Like, not interested in the controversy, I guess. Like, if they did change to, 100%, no more, we're going all Lego-centric, we're going to be like, I can say about here, right? We're going to be like Euro bricks. We're going to make a smaller Euro bricks. Go for it. I don't see any problem with that, to be honest. That's just me. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but that's my take on it. I don't really...
I'm going to I would not have any problem with that per se for my sake, because I would continue talking about Bionicle regardless.
Yeah.
But it's a point that was actually made in the topic by Velox. Bionicle is what makes us differentiate ourselves from forums like Eurobricks, and obviously he didn't say that in so many words. If BZP is not BZP, but rather General Lego Forum number whatever
502,
then for one, what differentiates them from Eurobricks? For another, what differentiates them from, say, the Lego message board? You know?
The fact that there aren't a bunch of 8-year-olds there.
Sprite comics. No, okay. To be completely honest, I have no idea what would. But I'm not just saying that they should move to it for now. Like, if they stop here, that'd be enough. But I'm fine if they go beyond. Like, to me, it doesn't matter. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's not like, yes, they should completely, eradicate all Bionicle, whatever, just become a whole Lego set. But if they did, I wouldn't really care too much about it. For me, it's like, it's mostly the people there. Bionicle has been, basically it's dead, and the only thing that's keeping it alive are the fans doing stuff. The fans continue to do stuff if you rebrand this the Lego site or not. Like, if you say it's, this is a Lego site, people are still going to make Bionicle epics, still going to make Bionicle mocks, still going to make Bionicle artwork, stuff like that. So I don't really see, like, right now we have no, I don't know how to say this. What kept BZPower, honestly, for me, what kept BZPower different from all the rest was Greg. Because Greg was on here, and Greg could answer any questions you wanted about Bionicle's story. And you could sometimes confirm stuff, and you could have your part entered into Bionicle canon, or you could do this. Basically, you'd be in canon. That was, like, the big thing. This is just like the highway to getting your stuff on canon. And Greg is no longer here. Bionicle's story is no longer up. There's no real reason for BZPower to, like, to be the same thing it was, because what drew me to it, at least, and I'm pretty sure drew a lot of other people to it, is the canon aspect of it, and it's just no longer available. So.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I'm gonna keep posted on all this, the fallout from this over the couple days. I'm sure there will be some radical people that'll go crazy over this. Not so much so far, and I'm happy about that. Yeah. And I will be keeping posted and seeing what that news is. But until then, I guess that's it for Brought to Attention.
can't see what they're gonna do for Bionicle related stuff. It's just that's it. It's
Yeah, I can't either.
It's done. It's gone.
You've done everything you can do. Like Greg is not coming back. The Bionicle story's not coming back. How else are you gonna make it more Bionicle centric than it already is?
Skins, like Meso said.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to make it more Bionicle centric is to have people who want to make it more Bionicle centric.
But wait, okay. I always wanted to ask those people, what would they? Okay, just right now, you want to make Bionicle centric. BZPower is Bionicle centric. From now on, you're getting rid of all of this Lego stuff. All right, just Bionicle centric. What do you do? Like, what's gonna make this Bionicle? What's gonna make BZPower Bionicle centric aside of getting rid of all the Lego discussion forums?
I'm getting rid of COT, I'm getting rid of Lego, and I'm making all of the skins feature Tahu. Cardboard cutouts of Tahu right next to each other every time.
It's funny because that probably would be the answer of a lot of people. I just think that would not be.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. They're like, oh no, we're just gonna get rid of all these forums. Well, what good does that do? Yeah, what good does that do? All that does is add discussion onto the forum. It doesn't take away discussion from it. You know. Like,
see,
you put something COT. Yeah, go on.
See, it's kind of funny because I have nothing invested in BZP anymore. I used to be a fan fiction writer dude, but I've moved on to dev art. And all of the friends I've made, I've pretty much made all the friends I'm ever going to make on BZP. So I have really nothing invested in it, which is why I laugh when people freak out about Hero Factory, because if you have that much invested in a site that you're actually worried about them adding a new forum or changing a graphic, something's wrong. I don't mean that to be offensive, but, you know, there's more to life than being 150% invested in one website. And one Lego line, for that matter.
Yeah.
So, BZP, for me, has run its course, right? I don't even post there anymore. You know, the only connection I have to BZP is actually this podcast.
Yeah.
So, really, you know.
Well, yeah. I will keep posting on all this. I will update you guys, and I'll probably talk about it in the next TTV, but until then, that's all for brought to attention. Thanks for you guys' discussions. It's not the song anymore.
I don't care. It was before.
Okay.
I prefer that song. I don't even remember what song it is.
We will now transition into our final segment, the greatest one of all. LJ, you're up.
Alright. Yep. Time to rock on into the Comic Maker Spotlight. Hello and welcome to the Comic Maker Spotlight. Once again, I'm LJ, you know the drill. Today, myself and Kahi and the others will be actually doing a recap on a comic series we previously went over. Soran's Comic Emporium. Now, I have a very specific reason for going over these comics again. Because they've changed quite a bit, and so has the author. Last time, he actually did have an emporium, various comic series, 3 at the most. And they all had their different, unique styles, and they were very creative. Now, for those who may have listened to the coverage we did of second Comic Maker contest, Soran won first place with his entry, Trader. That was hand-drawn. And he had made hand-drawn comics in a similar style before. Something I'd never seen before, because they were, you know, they're like a kit, but they weren't. It was interesting. so we're going to see what's changed in between the time we did it last time and now. So let's dive right in. So first of all, recap on Saran. Saran joined a little over a year ago, and in that time has racked up 707 posts, and his avatar at the time of this recording is displayed by an illustration of the side view of a Kanohi Avoki, specifically worn by him. Now, let's start off with graphics, and we'll start out with, as per usual, the latest two comics, Comic 80 and Comic 81. Now, Comic 80 is part of like a small saga that he was a part of, that he had made, where all of his characters had grouped up on a couch to watch TV to ignore him. And that's great and all, but it was forced. I felt it was really forced. Because very commonly you'll see comic makers, and this is going into the kind of the humor story side of things, you'll see comic makers have their characters despise them. Like, the one who mastered this was Dark709, because a large part of his characters hated him, but he balanced it very nicely. In this short saga that Saran made here, it was extraordinarily forced. His characters, his PGSs, went on a couch and ignored him for what appeared to be no reason at all. It did not make a lot of sense. What do you think, Kahi?
Okay, which one are we talking about? 81, 80 or 81 or both?
80.
Which one 80. Okay. Well, with 80, to me, this comic seems predictable. I think, for me, that's one of the biggest drawbacks to this. It's predictable. The graphics, very nice. You have like, a green gradient background. You have, wood textures for doors and floors. It's not anything all too new, but, it does a pretty good job what it's supposed to do. And the word bubbles, they're actually pretty well done. They avoid a lot of things that I dislike about other people using word bubbles. These actually, they keep things shaped inside the bubble. Not a lot of the text touches the outside of the border. The tails, quote unquote, are narrow enough. It's pretty good, but it's just the punchline was very predictable. As soon as I saw the whole thing ignoring, birthday party is just, it's number one on that whole cliche thing. Like, if you have a ton of characters ignoring one, and there's one person going around like, oh, why is everybody ignoring me? That's a staple of kid shows. Oh, I saw that all the time growing up. And he would go in, he'd be ejected, and he'd open a room, and then surprise, everybody, it's your birthday, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cliche. Now, in Comic 81, this made absolutely no sense to me. Here you have comic maker Onecker, who apparently was randomly guest starred. I don't understand. Come to the door with a pizza, give it to fellow comic maker Just Axe Cal, and then Just Axe Cal slams the door on him. And apparently BioCryptid21 over by the side asks, when did you order a pizza? And Just Axe says, I didn't. It's only until afterwards I figured it out. Because it took me a while to think, and it's not the kind of thinking where you think about it and it's like, oh! It's the kind of thinking about, what? Basically, Onecker got the wrong address, and Just Axe stole the pizza.
Well, no, he didn't steal it. He charged him for it. He clearly says that will be $12.49. So to take the pizza, he obviously had to, pay for it. Or he just slammed it in his face.
He did slam it in his face. There's no payment.
I mean, I guess it's off the wall. It doesn't make sense. I guess it's just, I don't see how someone not paying for his pizza can be funny in that way.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I mean, I can't really think of a way to make that better. It just, I guess it makes sense when you think about it, but it's just not funny. You have two conflicting things happen at the same time. One, that is like they're not mentioned. Onecker comes to the wrong address. That's almost barely implied at the end. That he didn't. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe somebody else in the hotel ordered it. But basically, not only you have that, and then you have the fact that Justax doesn't pay for it. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be the punchline, or the fact that Justax, that like it's the wrong address and Justax doesn't pay for it. That is the right address and Justax, order it. That it's the right, that he paid for it, but it was the wrong address. I don't know what the punchline is here. I don't know what the joke is supposed to be, and it falls flat on its face.
Yeah.
To be quite honest.
Yeah, so now going on to graphics a little bit here, because we already know its humor isn't as strong as it used to be. Graphics-wise, they're really good. They're some of the top-notch of the comic form, but this is where it is a problem. And I'm going to let Kahi talk about this just a little bit.
Okay. Oh, for me, of course, anyone reading this, his style is obviously picking off New Party Rocks. For maybe some of you who are new here, or just don't check out the comics forum, New Party Rocks was a very, very popular comic maker back when he was around. He ran a daily strip called New Party Rocks Comics. It was one of the first daily strips to carry out for more than a couple of weeks. It went for over a year before the forums went down, of course. But during that, NR basically had this very distinct style to his comics. They were all, Soren's comics basically duplicates everything that made NR's style his own. For instance, the word bubbles, the font, the type of humor that he's trying to convey, the type of characters that he has, all these things point to NR's comic. In fact, NR recently compiled a list of all the backgrounds that Soren made that were almost exact duplicates of his own. Like there's certain scenes with him on the couch and the TV, or him on a chair and his laptop, or even his door. The design of the door is based off NR's. Of course, they're all designed, so Soren didn't just take the image and put it on. He redesigned them, for his own purposes. So, but it's just, not only is he trying to copy someone else, he's also denying his original inspiration. When NR came and said something about it, his attitude was to be less than ideal. I guess he was very rude. He also denied having any link to NR's comics. He said he called NR's an older comic maker trying to hold on to the days when he was famous or popular, or some other sort of standard like that. It's just, it annoys me so much that not only is Soren trying to duplicate something, he's trying to convince people that it's original, and everything he has is blatantly ripping off NR's. I wouldn't say ripped. I would usually say inspired by it, but if you claim that you have no inspiration by this one offer, then you're ripping it off. There's no other way around that. Yeah,
and in order not to be absolutely one-sided in this, we will post in the description, at least I hope we will, a comparison picture that New Power Rocks actually made comparing his backgrounds to Soren's. So you guys can make up your mind. We've made up ours.
I guess another thing that annoys me, Soren is honestly a good comic maker. Like he can actually do some very, very nice stuff with his work. But he's not. Instead, he chooses to duplicate someone else's work and not as well. Like I said before, I've been keeping tabs of his daily shit for a while. They are all predictable. Either they're non-funny or they're just predictable. None of them ever, that hit that mark that made Naruto, made it popular or witty. I don't know. It seems like not only a lot of wasted talent, but it's a lot of talent trying to trying to emulate somebody, but also trying to pass it off as your original work.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'll give him this much. I prefer his backgrounds over New Power Rocks. They just look sharper and of higher quality.
Several of them are actually very well I'll also admit the one with the computer I kind of prefer, as well as the one with the stairs.
Yeah. But I don't know. His originality really has sunk from the last time we saw his comic series, in which he had two different comic series, one with a plot. The other one was really unique in that its art style was so different.
Yes.
I really enjoyed that.
Living the Sprite life was something very, very well handled. That was purely Saran's style in that. There's something that you couldn't emulate anywhere else. The first time you saw it, that was clearly Saran's comics. I wish he had kept up with that, because that would have made him, that's what would have made him his own, rather than trying to copy somebody else and putting them in, sort of a cookie cutter scenarios from time to time, every day.
Yeah. So we will, that's pretty much our opinion. So, wrapping it up here as a quick recap. Since the last time we saw him, he has taken 3 comic series and cut out 2, keeping with his Saran comics, which, in our opinions, are cookie cutters of New Power Rocks' comics, of which we will also go ahead and post a link to in the description along with Saran's comics. But be forewarned, it is a link to the archive. So if you are a BZPower member and you're logged in, you click that, you'll get logged out.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind. And in our opinion, the graphics are good. The graphics are top-notch, in my opinion, some of the best of the form. I go ahead and say rivaling Kahinuva's. But
I disagree, LJ. My comics are obviously superior to. No, actually, that he has. His graphics are very, very nice, very well done, and he has a lot of promise. If only he would, stick to his own original works.
Yeah. So
that might need a bit work, but yes.
Yeah, that about sums it up. That is Saran's Comic Emporium. But first, let's see if the other guys have any opinions, guys. No?
I personally see exactly what you're saying regarding the backgrounds and the whole deal with that. I think the graphical quality of the comics is, basically just what you said. I kind of have to share your opinions. I really enjoy the graphics, but at the same time, you kind of have to question the inspiration, and the public, deal with it is quite interesting. The reaction from everybody in the topic and elsewhere. But the comics in general, they are some of the best visually in the forum, but, I think there are a couple issues.
No.
Those are my...
Yeah.
I'll just go off of Messo's thoughts there. Because I agree with pretty much all of them. I mean, it's one thing to be inspired by somebody and to use their stuff, but it's another to deny it. So I don't necessarily agree with that. But on the other hand, there's only so much room for 100% originality in BZP, right? Especially since there's, 4 or 5 sprite kits that everyone uses, right? So you only have so much room for originality, but don't deny where you got your inspiration, especially when it's as obvious as it is.
Yeah, and I also make sure not only has he denied inspiration, he has also insulted his inspirator. Is that the correct word? Basically, that would be the thing. I guess to build off what Kenny's saying here, yes. Tomorrow 6J Tomorrow Omega, there's only so far you can go with making stuff your own style, and a lot of comics are going to look similar whenever you use a certain kit. A lot of comics are going to look not like they're ripping off each other, but they're going to be very similar in terms of placement, in terms of graphical prowess,
and how the sprites are used.
Yeah, how the sprites are used. But I think this one, when you combine all the things that are similar within ours, that is all the exact backgrounds, so you place them on the background, style of the background, style of the strips, daily strips, style of the word balloons, same exact font, same exact way of creating word balloons, and same exact the characters are mostly the same, and some of the sprite sheets are also, sprite sheets, of course, are the worst thing to judge off by, because sprite sheets are you can make anything with sprite sheets, to put your own, and it might match somebody else, because sprite sheets are very limited in that regard. But I don't know, I think when you stack, it's alone, they are not cause for that. When you stack them all up together, it's a pretty good case.
Well, and like, me personally, I don't know Saran, so I'm not gonna, like, judge his character or anything like that, right? Because the only thing that I disagree with is denying it. Because I don't make comics. I know nothing about comics. But, really, just from a standpoint of me being a bystander, I can see that, if not, directly copied from, they're heavily inspired, right? Those backgrounds and stuff in the comics themselves are, a lot of parts of them are heavily inspired by Onaru's comics, so that in itself isn't even a bad thing. I mean, if I were a comic maker and somebody was using my kind of style and the stuff that I'd made for my comics in theirs, I would honestly be kind of flattered, right? But it's when they deny it entirely, right? That's just
It's like
my thoughts on it.
It just reminds me a lot of recently, you see, over here where I am, out in the Wild West, we have a bunch of chickens. Let them out of their chicken coop. And a bunch of kids came and their dog almost killed a rooster. It didn't, though. But the fact is, we were pretty angry because they did not come and say, hey, our dog attacked our rooster and now it's across the street.
Yeah.
They didn't own up to it. And that kind of annoyed us. And it's basically a similar situation here.
Wait. Alright, well. Kai, you have one final thing to say, I believe.
Yes. I'll say this. Soran has had a sort of history of using several things from not just NR, but the ICC. I think one of these things it would be Chimoru R, Soran's kit in the Artwork 2 form. It bears an uncanny resemblance to Chimoru 3, which is the kit that the ICC had made. Generally, of course, there's only so much modification you can do with the Chimoru kit. But the thing is, before Chimoru R came out, Soren actually came to one of our members, to Vakai, and asked if he could make several fan editions to Chimoru 3. And, basing his stuff off the stuff that was in Gavlis comics and, at Tab's comics at the time. So Tab agreed, and Soren proceeded to give us one Almac, which he later deleted and then released Chimoru R. Not only does that say that, he was aware of Chimoru 3, but he was actually spriting from it. And instead of, Tab made it very clear that he wouldn't be able to release it to anybody else, and, it would have to stay exclusive. So I guess instead he created his own substitute kit, Chimoru R, which is very, very similar to what we have. That's my sort of take on it there.
And I guess just to say it one last time, fine, flattering. Best form of flattery is what's the word? I'm forgetting the phrase here. Ignore me. But
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
Disconnecting. Just don't.
I guess, but he denied using our thing as inspiration for Chimoru R too.
Well, yeah,
the same way he denied having an R. So
inspiration and imitation are not bad on their own. It's the denial of it that causes problems.
Exactly.
So, Soren, if you're listening to this, we don't necessarily judge you for anything. Just don't deny when you're inspired by something. That goes for everyone.
Yeah.
Not me, no, okay.
Yes, Scott, even for you. It applies to you more than anyone.
But, yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Well, Jay, you can close this out.
Yeah. So that's a scoop. That's our opinions. We leave it up to all of you to decide. But that's about it. Go check out Saran's Comic Emporium. Leave your thoughts, opinions in his topic, and instructive criticism is always helpful for anyone, no matter how harsh and or kindly it is put. And that is my opinion as well. So, yeah, that's about it. That's
Make it too harsh, though, when it's not constructive anymore.
That's the Comic Maker Spotlight. Ending it there.
Alright.
Woohoo!
Woo! Being the best. Be the best.
Oh, yeah?
And this has been Dubstep with Messinac.
No, I'm done. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
All right,
been
well.
a good episode, hasn't it?
This has been
Yeah,
an
it's been
exciting
pretty good.
episode. Yeah. I enjoyed it more than our average show. So,
Yeah.
thank you all for listening. We appreciate your viewership as always.
Except we don't.
Be
I
sure
do.
to like, comment, rate, favorite, and subscribe.
No.
Thank you for watching, as always.
Alright.
I'm Messinac.
I'm Vardaran.
I'm LJ.
I'm Kahi.
And I'm Keeney.
And this was TTV, episode 37. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Hey, you got it right.
Only thanks to you guys.
Oh.